Hey class, happy Friday. It's November 17th. I hope you all are getting ready to have a good weekend. I know you've been working very hard on the action plan, and I'll start with what I'm encouraged by. I'm very encouraged in how you've all worked together in the past week because the communication between you seems to be um, operating much more seamlessly than it was last week, and so I congratulate you for that. Um, I am a little bit concerned with the action plan that you've developed, and this doesn't mean that that I will take points off. I don't want anyone to get upset, but I'm going to ask you to look at it again because what you've proposed is really a research project, and what I'm looking for is for you to actually complete an action of some type. So you know. And the research is a part of it that you need to do in order to do a good job with designing the action and thinking about it. But researching itself um, isn't really social action, actually. So let's try and think about, and again, it can be something small. It can be a hashtag campaign. It can be something that is local to FRCC and to our community, something that aims to target FRCC students in terms of sexual assault, something that is local to Colorado. You can design something small and doable, but it goes beyond research on the issue, and it gets you out into the community. That's the point of the assignment. And as you look at some of the resources that you've mentioned, you'll see what their initiatives are. And a lot of them are bigger than, of course, what a three-person or a four-person group can do. But you'll get an idea of what social action actually is, and what kinds of action you can plan. And maybe, you can think about planning something that is supplemental to local activism that is already going on. Now, I do also want to speak to this research aspect because like I said, I'm not saying that there is no research. I'm saying that research is part of the process that we go through in order to create the action and do the action and engage with the community. That's all research based. And a lot of the research that I'm seeing so far in this Build a Bibliography conversation is websites of community resources. And those are important. Those will give you good ideas about the types of actions you might perform, good ideas of who's doing what locally, but it's not really going to give you as much of, it's not your complete background in terms of researching the extent of the issue. Depending on what sorts of reports and everything they have, which I didn't hear a ton of details about. But I want to make sure that everyone in my class knows how to find a book or article online through the library. Because just because we are on an online school, an online class, doesn't mean that that we can't use the library. And I think a lot of people, it's a sign of the times that people don't always appreciate the difference between Googling something for information versus looking something up on the library database. So I'm going to give you an example. Here I am at my Desire to Learn homepage, and I'm going under Resources, FRCC Library Resources. And it's a little bit confusing and looks circular. It says log on to do it, but don't do that. Go over here and go to Online Resources. And it doesn't really matter which database you click. Westminster and Boulder County is fine, as is Larimer. The main thing is to get you into these databases. Now, here are some of the databases that that FRCC collects and has subscriptions to for all of its students. This is going to be much more in depth than anything that you could get on the internet that would bring up just regular websites. This is actually going to bring you peer-reviewed articles. It's going to bring you some books, possibly, depending on the database, as well as newspaper articles. It's going to be very, very comprehensive, and it's going to have those academic sources that are important, I think, in rounding out a good research, a good piece of research. It's advocacy groups are very important, and a lot of the research that they do is high quality, but ultimately for credibility, it's very important to have some peer-reviewed studies. So let's go in. JSTOR is a very basic one, as is Academic Search Premier. I recommend those two, but for now I'll take you into JSTOR and just show you how you can get information and how much more detailed it is. First of all, you have more advanced search features. So you can search from a certain author, you can search in the full text, you can search for a title. This should allow you to find things really quickly, but let's do something basic. Let's just type sexual harassment. 1 R, 2 S's. I had to learn that when I did my master's thesis on sexual harassment because it got me a couple of times. 1 R, 2 S's. Okay, and then what you have is a list of accessible online and peer-reviewed resources. So here, percentage who labeled the events sexual harassment among members who experienced sexual harassment in the past year, exposure to sexual harassment training, sexual harassment policy. Here is a book chapter on sexual harassment and gender discrimination. Let's check it out. So this is from a book called Sexual Assault and Sexual Harassment in the U.S. Military. You can go down here and you can download the PDF of the article. So of the book chapter. So a lot is online, but I want you to appreciate what is unique about this resource as opposed to Google. Okay, this is bringing you through book chapters that have been digitized through the library that you won't be able to access online. As much as it seems like we're able to get a variety of information online, traditional publishers and people who really hold knowledge, academic journals and books, actually make sure that their things aren't open access online so that people will pay for them. So that's what makes it, one of the things that makes it so important for everybody to come here. Okay, and you can do lots of other things in terms of limiting your search results. You could do only past 10 years. You can search for, you can limit to something that you can read online. You can limit the subject matter. There's a lot of ways to play around with that. So please play around with that when you are looking to increase the depth of your research. And please also do check out Academic Search Premier. It's also a great resource. Now coming back again, like I said, what really thrills me is to see the way that you are all working together. I think that that's a very valuable skill. A lot of times I tend to focus on the content of what we're learning, but the skills that you're learning are also the skills of working together. And so the communication that we're having is great. But I do want to make sure that we're meeting the plan of the assignment. And so research is certainly part of it, but I want to push you further. So let's just take a minute and reread exactly what the expectations are. Sometimes when you get into a project like this, it does get easy to forget what the end product is going to look like. Okay, so feminism is, among other things, a collective project for social change. Your final project asks you to experiment with becoming activists on any issue related to the course and content. So we've chosen sexual assault. in collaboration with classmates. So do use materials from the course, as well as any outside materials necessary to design and conduct an action that intervenes in existing social inequalities. And here, and so you'll select an issue, which you've done, right? And you've started talking about why that issue is important. And that will help you a lot in your final paper, but then we have to design an action, okay? So you might, for instance, write and publicize an open letter, conduct a consciousness raising session, initiate a digital media campaign, distribute handbills, petition a local politician, any type of action that you like, but keep in mind that you should be out there in your community doing something. Again, the grade is 20% of the weekly participation, and I'm not looking for outcomes. I'm looking for participation in contribution to the group. So I will say this week, I expect the grades to be quite high. The action plan is not where I want it yet. And that is part of why I'm so glad that you all are working on this with me and with each other in such close quarters. So let's know that we're working well, but let's start thinking about what kind of action we can plan with all of this, this knowledge and with all of the concerns that we have. I look forward to seeing you on the discussion boards. I will be out of town for the break, but I'll be checking in as much as possible. Remember, use this time to catch up on anything in this class and other classes. Just make sure that you are going into the end of the semester as strongly as possible. Like I said, I will be away, but please feel free to email me. I will get back to you as soon as I can. It might be a day or two, but I will be around. All right, I hope everyone has a nice break that's as relaxing as it can be, but that you're able to carve aside a little time to finish the semester strong. I'll see you around the discussion boards.